Welcome to the Amped Up Show, Thursday, October 17, 2024. BC coming at you with all the latest in the pro wrestling world. I got the Raw rating for you guys. Were they able to hold on tight? Because that's all they could have done this week. It was a tape show. It wasn't even a good show, and they had heavy competition. Were they able to at least just pull in what they pulled in last week? I have the number for you guys. We'll go over it. We'll also talk NXT's number. NXT lost a lot of viewers this week from last week. This is only their third week on the CW, so that's troublesome. But then just how many they lost in 1 week. Very troublesome. If you caught JR9's weekly roundup for NXT, and I believe that was yesterday's upload in the comments section, JR9 pretty much told you exactly why they lost that many viewers. We'll go over NXT and Raw's numbers. We'll go over AJ Lee and Brock Lesnar's return talk. We're going to talk a new themed Dynamite from Tony Khan. And on that same note, we will be talking some AEW Dynamite from last night. I was able to catch some Dynamite. Not always able to do such. Usually my schedule is pretty heavy anyway, but especially during the week, like Tuesdays and Wednesdays, it's very hard to catch an NXT or an AEW Dynamite show. But I was able to catch several segments. Some maybe not in totality, but enough of them to warrant a good conversation in this upload. And there's three individuals I got to give a salute to, major props. And interestingly, it was all promos. Nothing to do in the ring, wrestling-wise, or skill set-wise. Move for move, or any moonsault or plancha or Canadian Destroyer they did. Nobody going through a table, or climbing a ladder and doing a 650 plancha somersault, inadverted splash. No, three promos. Because I always tell you guys, man, the promo is the heartbeat to a storyline. And that's what we need more than ever right now in pro wrestling, to be invested again, right? To be captivated. And that's through the storylines. There's enough great wrestlers, incredible wrestlers, putting on incredible wrestling matches. They're getting a bunch of stars. They're getting all the chants. And then afterwards, it's kind of like, all right, now what? You have to have that heartbeat. You have to have those promos on par. And last night, AEW had some really good performances. I got to give three big shout outs. There's also two concerning parts to this conversation when we talk AEW Dynamite. 2 points of concern that BC is going to raise awareness to, right? A little bit of a red alarm. And that's all I'm going to give you in the open teaser, right? The cold open teaser will just be on that. We'll talk about it. What I will give you in the cold open teaser, though, is Mox. Conversation on Mox. I wasn't able to see it live. So there's a lot of people talking about how Mox delivered this really good promo vignette type package. And then there was a lot of people going, oh, calm down. It wasn't that good. It was mediocre. It's not going to go anywhere anyway. So there's people kind of downplaying it. So BC was like, all right, you know what? If I can get the time, man, I got to catch this before I talk AEW Dynamite. I was able to catch it literally 10 minutes before I started recording today's show. And I will have that discussion right now in the cold open. Full transparency, full honesty, as BC always gives you. That promo, that whole package, it was absolutely brilliant. It was so damn good. It was fantastic, and BC doesn't even use the word fantastic, like ever. I can't think of one time I said the word fantastic, but that's exactly what came to mind after I saw that Mox promo package. Mox absolutely raised that suspense and that intrigue. Now, may it go nowhere but into a brick wall, possibly creatively. Maybe it goes nowhere. Maybe TK absolutely screws it up. But we'll hope for the best. It's a damn good, solid starting point and beyond. That is really good, man. Shafir with her facial expressions driving that truck just like ready to take those orders. Mox declaring that everybody works for him now. 150 people on that roster. And he hates what AEW has become. He's almost talking for a lot of people. A voice for the voiceless, sort of. Because a lot of people, diehard AEW fans, are kind of saying the same thing. Mox is kind of echoing that. maybe in different ways and aspects, but in totality, you get to the same driving point. Mox is done. So Mox is taking over. Now, if done correctly, man, there's so many great ways you can go about this, man. And if you are going to bring in Shane McMahon, that's the way to do it. That's your vehicle. The evil, diabolical Shane McMahon. The new Mr. McMahon. So everybody's kind of divided on this. After I watched it, I'm like, what are we divided on? A lot of it might just be people that just want to see AEW fail. And in that case, just find a new hobby. Because that is detrimental to the pro wrestling business at large. You want these companies to succeed. No matter how critical I'll ever be of AEW or any company, I want to see them succeed because it's better for everybody, including BC and my unit and our interest in wrestling. It makes it more fun. Even the local bingo halls, I want them to pack those bingo halls out with the 50 seats that they set up. Subsequently, there may just be individuals that just don't like Mox, right? Mox is not their cup of coffee, and anything he does, they're just going to trash. A lot of that started when he did that weird, I don't know what movie it was. I don't think I've ever seen the movie, but he put on that damn jacket and the mask in WWE, and he started talking about how the arena stinks. I forgot that whole character, but once that happened, a lot of people just turned on Mox and never really got back on with him, even when he came to AEW. But I've always felt Mox is a workhorse. I always felt Mox was one of those characters where you just know when he's out there anything can happen. He's a company dude. I remember not long ago he was about to go on vacation with Renee. Was it the CM Punk or MJF? Something happened there where he was brought back. He was asked, dude, we need you. We got to put the title on you. Can you just hold off another month to 2 months? We got to get Punk back or MJF. I forgot what it was, but Mox actually canceled that vacation. Said, I got you. That's Mox. And again, on last night's show, that was one of, if not the biggest talking point on that entire show. The most intriguing for sure from what BC was able to see. Mox. I caught that literally about 10 minutes before we started recording this upload, and I'm so damn glad I did, because that's a polarizing topic right now. And I'm hoping it's for the right reasons, because that was really good on a pro wrestling show. That's the type of content that intrigues BC. So if you're wondering, right, a lot of people divided. I'm all aboard what Mox is doing right now. I just hope that, Wheeler, Utah, Wheeler's face, Marina, it's like they've already bought into everything that Mox is selling. And now it's just, where do they go? Do they have an actual plan, or is this like a Hunter Hearst Helmsley thing where it's like day by day, hour by hour? And when it's all said and done, it just doesn't make sense. We'll see. But man, that was so damn good. And if I caught it last night live, I would have been saying the same thing. And I would have been saying there's 4 individuals I got to give a salute to. I'm still going to give Mox a massive salute. But there's 3 other individuals I want to give a salute to with their promos. We'll go over that when we talk AEW Dynamite. And again, 2 areas of concern. They're big concerns when it comes to All Elite Wrestling. We'll go over that as well. One of them does involve one of the biggest female names in pro wrestling. But I'm not exactly thrilled on what TK is doing. I am on one hand. She's got all the gold. On the other hand, is anybody caring? That's your cold open teaser. It went a little bit long anyway as it is, so I'm going to end it there. I'm going to get a massive swig of my Dunkin' Extra Extra. I'm going to take you guys to the opening signature. Come right on back. We're going to talk all of this. The ratings, AJ Lee and Brock return talk, and a whole lot of Dynamite talk as well. It's all coming up in the Amped Up 10/17/24 show. Let's do this. And before we kick this off, 3 big shout outs, 3 big salutes. Number 1, to my channel subscribers, thank you. To my channel members, the utmost appreciation goes right back to your support. Appreciate you guys, top tier. And my 3rd big shout out and salute to my entire New York Yankees fam. My Yankees tonight, Game 3 in Cleveland against the Guardians. Take care of business tonight, then tomorrow, and it's a clean sweep. And then it's on to the Dodgers or the Mets in the World Series. It's either going to be a Subway Series or we are literally going coast to coast. A coastal battle. Yankees, Dodgers, man, both are so intriguing. But first things first, we got to take care of Cleveland tonight. And it's actually this evening. I think it's 5 p.m. Eastern time because they're giving the Dodgers and the Mets prime time. 8 p.m. Eastern time will be Dodgers-Mets. So I think the Yankees game, for anybody that is thinking it's in prime time, it's going to be 5 p.m. Eastern time. So it's this evening, not tonight. Yankees, salute. Let's do this. Let's take care of that business. All right, let's do the... Oh, first of all, let me give the actual salute. Subscribers, channel members, Yankees, salute. That'll hit the spot. Where do you guys want to start off? Let's take care of this real quick. AJ Lee's return to WWE and Brock Lesnar. There's a lot of talk about this, right? And the reason is, we'll start with Brock Lesnar. There was reports coming out that, or at least Monday Night Raw, dropping hints of beast, right? The word beast was thrown out there. And then reports saying that there's talks with Brock Lesnar. The latest word that BC is getting, and there are reports, reputable, that are backing this up, is that there are no, at this point anyway, there is no plans of bringing Brock Lesnar back into the fold right now. He's eventually going to come back, no doubt. But there's no plans, no talks right now of Brock coming back. So those are reputable reports, and then BC had it double verified himself. So, of course, anything can change. There was a moment we thought CM Punk was not coming back around that Survivor Series last year, and CM Punk ended the show at Survivor Series. So, of course, anything can happen. But just anybody thinking that Brock is imminent, not so fast. From what we are hearing, Brock is not imminent. In fact, there's not even plans or talks. Take that info and do with it what you will. But just letting my unit know that. And AJ Lee, right? There's this. I'm not even going to give credit to where this came from because it's so obnoxious. But there was a report that WWE would be interested in bringing back AJ Lee, or is interested in bringing back AJ. Do you think? Do you think that WWE would be interested in bringing back one of the most polarizing females in their company history? Do you think? Is that something you needed double verified? Or is that something you pretty much woke up and said, I got nothing, let me put this out there because it's believable, right? AJ Lee, they're interested in AJ Lee. Do you think? You look at what she accomplished in a short amount of time she was in WWE. I think she was only there about 5 years, give or take a year. I don't even think it was more than 5 years. Whatever it was, she was there for a short amount of time. And you look at what she did, the championships, the main events, the changing an entire division. She was the general manager. People don't even realize that, younger fans. She was the general manager. She was running Monday Night Raw. Little AJ Lee. She was in massive storylines with CM Punk and John Cena, Kane. Massive. Vince McMahon loved AJ Lee. Just put her in everything. Her booking, Vince McMahon is usually just the blonde bombshell type. Like, that's who he catapults for females usually. But when it came to AJ Lee, Vince McMahon, and Stephanie always got along with AJ. You know, that whole give the women a chance thing, or divas a chance, whatever that was. You know, a lot of people thought it was just that created so much tension. But they had some really good conversations, report stated. And Mendez backed that up, and Stephanie backed that up. But, yeah, I mean, how is that? And because of that, right, it sparks the talk, right? Oh, AJ Lee might be coming back. Well, yeah, one day she's definitely coming back. I've said that from the beginning of time. Just like I said about Punk, took a lot of flack for that. Of course, I was right. AJ will come back, there's no question. But not off of reports like this, guys. WWE is interested, or would be interested in bringing back AJ. Do you think? Is it possible that that's probably the case? Thank goodness for this report. We never would have came to that conclusion. So I just want to give that. I know that's two big discussions right now. Brock coming back, AJ coming back. That's the latest. That's the truthful latest. So you can debunk all of this other just absolute garbage gibberish reporting. Let's move on to the ratings, if you don't mind. This is interesting. We'll start with WWE RAW. Monday Night Raw scored a 1-5 sem-odd. Now, of course, that's horrible, right? We know that. Football, non-football, wouldn't matter, a 1-5. But here's the good news. They were able to hold on tightly for dear life and basically get the same rating they got last week, which was a 1-5 sem-odd. I think it was a 0.45, 1.545, and this was like a 1.539. So a drop-off of a few thousand viewers, no question. But still same ballpark. Now, they're 18-49 demo. The demo absolutely got ravaged much more. Demo got banged up and punched in the face. But overall viewership remained nearly untouched. And when you're a tape show and you got the stiff competition, that's all you can ask for. Just hold on tight. The not so good news attached to that is obviously a lot of people were watching because they heard the show was pretty bad on paper, right? If you guys go back to my results spoilers edition of the Raw review this week, because we already knew the spoilers, it was taped last week, so I said I'm not going to wait and watch the show and record it afterwards. We're going to go over the results. We're going to give the spoilers and give our thoughts on the show. And I told you guys on paper, it's absolutely horrendous. We can only hope that it's going to be better in its presentation when it actually airs. That didn't happen. But I told you guys in that upload, what did I tell you guys the rating was going to be? I said I wouldn't be shocked if it's a 1-4 because people just heard how bad it truly is. But I also wouldn't be shocked if it's a 1-6 because people found out how truly bad the show is on paper. So what I meant by that is sometimes that brings people to see just how bad it is. Or they just refuse to believe that it's that bad. They're like, there has to be more to this show that was not presented on paper or that wasn't in BC's spoilers, right? Or those that delivered the spoilers. So they tune in because there's got to be more, right? So I said in that upload, I said I wouldn't be shocked if it's a 1-4, like they dropped $1.50, or I wouldn't be shocked if they gained a 50 to 100K and went to a 1-6. And sure enough, I nailed it. They hit right in the middle. They didn't budge from last week. They lost a few. They lost several thousand, but they were able to hold on to that 1-5. So it was right in the middle of what I expected. Because sometimes things are just so bad that it flocks people over. So they were able to gain the 1-5. Or not gain, to at least hold that 1-5. And again, for those that say once football's done, it'll go back to normal numbers. Don't worry, guys. This is just because of football season. Then you must be new to the BC channel because we go over facts. And the facts are that even without football competition, their average was 1-6. So they're not. So you're telling me football takes 50,000 viewers away? No, the problem is bigger. WWE has a creative issue. There's not enough individuals thinking that the shows are good enough, that the product is good enough. There's not enough fans that are tuning into Monday Night Raw and going, this is fun, this is intriguing, I'm putting the remote down, I'm watching this live. Not in the highlights the next day on my phone. I'm not watching on some streaming service like a Hulu the next day or maybe in 3 days at my convenience. I have to watch live while it airs on cable. And you thought when it turned to 2 hours, we were going to get the best possible product, right? Ratings would get a little bit of a heartbeat, a pulse, because things are on the uptick. You have 2 hours now. You can get more creative. Instead, it might have somehow gotten worse. So we'll see, man. But this was an absolute throwaway filler show. So even though it's a bad number, 1-5 from Monday Night Raw, at this point, SmackDown beat it out, guys. SmackDown got a 1-6 sem-odd on the same channel, USA Cable, on a Friday night, mind you, and they pulled a 1-6 sem-odd. So right now, SmackDown literally became the A show, and SmackDown ain't much better, if even. But Raw's in some serious trouble, obviously. A 1-5. The saving grace for them is they were able to at least hold on to that 1-5 sem-odd. Now, if you switch over to NXT, that's a horse of a different color. So NXT lost over 200,000 viewers. Their debut was around 879-ish. I think they went to like 849-ish, around 850 for week 2 on the CW. And then this week was that big drop-off that we were all kind of knew it was going to happen, but hoping it wasn't, right? Hoping they could stay the course. Stay on that path, because 2 straight weeks of over 800 and near 850, man, I mean, you're putting AEW in the dust at that point. They're just struggling to try to get 700,000. But it was right back to the same old NXT this week, 639,000 viewers. They were down over 200,000 viewers. And they're right back to battling the number with AEW, which again is trying to struggle, not trying to, they are struggling, trying to get over 700,000. NXT is right back into the same boat as AEW. Dynamite. Now, if you caught JR9's NXT Roundup, which salute, JR9, proper salute to my right-hand man on the channel, JR9 Gaming. Kick-ass roundup, man. Got BC caught up on all that happened on NXT this week. That's in yesterday's upload, which thank you guys to every single one of you guys that caught that upload. I know it's outside the box. These are the type of uploads not a lot of creators are willing to dive into, you know, like a few days ago when we were talking about the backlash WWE was getting for not being diverse enough on their PLEs. And we had that discussion, and we talked about race, nationality, things like that. A lot of people not willing to talk about that. On this channel, we absolutely get our hands dirty and we talk about it. And same thing with the females, right? Not a lot of people want to talk about women's wrestling or the females, and I think that they do warrant and deserve ample time in discussion. So yesterday's upload was all about the PWI 250. 38 plus, right? 38 minutes plus of talking about that list and all the ladies and their accomplishments and where they're placed. And looks like you guys, even though it's outside the box and not everybody's cup of coffee, you guys kicked ass in that upload. So thank you very much. In the comments, you saw JR9's NXT Roundup, his review on NXT. If you did not catch the show, JR9 had you caught up. It's in the super chat. It's highlighted in a blue bubble. You'll see it, JR9 Weekly Roundup, and he has you caught up if you missed it. If you did catch it and you want a good take on it, JR9 had you covered. So, my point in all that, first of all, thank you for everybody that caught that upload. And on top of that, if you're wondering how NXT lost over 200,000 viewers in 1 week, JR9 Gaming gave that a 2.5 out of a 10 show. 2.5 out of 10. And I don't want to spoil that. JR9, if you don't mind, I'm actually going to just how you ended that roundup. I do want to just quote that. For the rest of the roundup, you guys got to read it for yourself because it's a really good read and I don't want to spoil it. But this is a quote from JR9's roundup. And this will tell you how you lose 200,000 viewers plus, right? This is his overall assessment at the end of this roundup review. A pretty poor show. This is NXT. A pretty poor show. Not much happened, and there was a lot of confusing matchups and angles that really didn't do much in terms of keeping me engaged throughout the night. I felt Stephanie Vicure should have debuted more dominantly, and the only real highlight was Andre Chase's return. Pretty sad when the highlight of the night is Andre Chase returning. That's BC's words, by the way. Back to JR9's quote. Next week needs careful booking on the go-home show with Fatal Influence versus Julia and Stephanie, which no doubt will be a really good match, but needs to be booked properly with Fatal winning after Roxy and Cora interference. Pretty much sums it up. And on top of that, I will say JR9, Kalani versus JC at Havoc is what you're pulling for. Kalani is so damn good right now, so much momentum. I don't see her losing the title, or I don't feel she should be losing the title at Havoc. So, and I know you want Kalani and JC at Havoc, but are you okay with JC losing? Or JR9, are you saying JC's taking the championship? Because Kalani's firing on all cylinders right now, and I don't know if you want JC losing another match. Interesting, though. Of course, the match, man. Damn, would that be good? But it has to be booked to perfection where both are coming out like gold. And I'll say the same thing, too. I know you're not a big fan of Cora and Roxy versus Steph and Julia. But damn, that match. I mean, when hearing it on paper, you're like, there's no way I can miss that. But you are right. That's got to be booked to absolute perfection. And JR9, in your roundup, I couldn't help but laugh. 2, not 1, but 2 roll-ups. The roll-up, the WWE main roster roll-up bug, right? It's a real thing, and it's contagious. And that bug worked its way into NXT's locker room. The roll-up has found its way to NXT. 2 of them on this past Tuesday night show. Alexis King had it, and who was the other one? Ethan Page, leading to another Ethan Trick matchup, I believe, is what JR9 said. So that's roll-ups, man. Multiple, not just one. You gotta love, and I'm saying that sarcastically, when a booker puts the same finish twice on one show. And it's the most mundane of finishes, right? It's just a roll-up. I'm going to roll you up. I'm going to hold you down. You're a professional wrestler. Big, strong, right? Overcoming the odds. But you're not going to get out of my finisher, the roll. I'm going to hold you down. And the other wrestler's like, I can't get up. Like the kid from the Christmas Story, right? I will always use that analogy. When the kid, he's in the big snow, the little brother, he's in the snowsuit, and he falls in the snow, but he can't get up. It's worse than a turtle on his back. I can't get up, guys, I can't get up. It's the roll-up. Oh, JR9, salute, brah. Appreciate you big time, man. Thanks for getting BC and the unit caught up. Very good roundup. Catch that, guys. Yesterday's upload in the comments. JR9's roundup. So that's how you can lose 200,000 viewers in just 1 week. JR9 pretty much nailed it. Now I want to move on to another show, AEW Dynamite, which went on to the airwaves about 24 hours after NXT. Let's talk about that right now. I was able to catch some of this. I'm not always able to catch AEW Dynamite. I was able to catch several segments. I want to talk about it. So the things I want to talk about. First, I want to give some shout outs, some salutes. Number 1, Mariah May. It was just a backstage promo. But whoa, was she good, right? It's not just like the story she had with Toni Storm, and I know a lot of people are upset because there was no really follow-up booking after the Toni Storm thing. It's just like, what is Mariah doing now? And I agree, trust me. But what she delivers, man, what she brings to the table, and that's why when she was placed in the top 10 of the PWI 250, which is very subjective, absolutely. But I also say, every one of those females have earned a spot wherever they did land because a lot of it is based on merit that they produced. So a lot of people are upset that Mariah placed top 10, but there's no way that you can really take it away because she was one of the highlights within the last year. And she continues to be a spark. It's not her fault that booking isn't in totality kind of propelling her to where she should be as a champion, because she's doing, you look at that backstage promo, she's doing what she's asked and then trying to go above and beyond. That promo was really good. She's talking about how nobody wants to show up to work. Thunder Rosa talks a big game. She's never there. She's always on a hiatus. Brittany Baker hiatus, you name it. They're just, everybody talks and then they walk. Does anybody want to come to work? Does anybody want to fight? Does anybody want to wrestle? That's literally what she said in this promo, and I was like, damn, this is better than a lot of the female promos I've heard in months, and it's coming from Mariah May. So if you're wondering why people kind of quickly gravitated to Mariah, it's because she's good. She checks off more than just a box, right? She had a good storyline, and that moment is past, BC. Mariah's done. No, not even close. If booking can find its way with Mariah, this will just be the beginning of what will absolutely be a great career and beyond for Mariah May. And we'll be looking back on the Toni Storm feud as just the foundation to which Mariah's empire was built upon. But we'll see. But I got to give credit. I mean, that was, I wasn't expecting much. They cut to the back. Mariah's there with a microphone in her face. I'm like, what are we doing? And she cuts this passionate promo calling the entire women's locker room out. Like, does anybody even show up? Does anybody even care anymore? Damn, that was good. That's the fire we need in so many individuals, men and the women. And she delivered that last night. And I got to give a shout out over to Adam Cole and MJF. I know this segment kind of got panned because of its placement, which is no fault of its own. It also got panned because a lot of individuals, a lot of fans, even AEW diehard fans, are still trying to grasp the concept that they absolutely flipped the storyline. MJF, Maxwell, is now the heel, who you kind of feel sympathetic for, actually. And then Adam Cole is supposed to be the face now, but it was Cole that really turned on Maxwell. So that's all convoluted, right? Those waters have been muddied. So there's a lot of reasons why I can see why the promo didn't exactly land. And again, it's placement, the beginning of the show. But I want to talk more about that when I go over the two concerns that I've had from last night's Dynamite. But as far as the promo itself, it was good. This was Adam Cole doing what Adam Cole does, electrifying a crowd. The only problem is the crowd didn't get electrified. They sat down the whole time. You could have heard a pin drop, unfortunately. I mean, he tried to pump them up too. He's like, AEW is the best wrestling, and it is my, it's my calling to make sure that AEW becomes the best wrestling promotion on the planet. And he was hoping that there was going to be a pop there, right? And there were several times he would say something and he would go around and look at the crowd, and he was hoping that was supposed to elicit a response, and they were just sitting down like, yeah, keep going, man. Adam Cole is just like, that's like the worst thing as a performer, right? Like if you're a comedian, you're dropping jokes and you're hearing nothing, right? Or if you're a band and you're playing and everyone's just sitting down, kind of just like bobbing their head, but you're a rock and roll band. They're just like, yeah, on their phones. I mean, you're a pro wrestler. You're giving it everything you have in this promo, but the crowd is just not into it. And again, that wasn't Adam Cole. It was such a weird, because usually that crowd is telling you this absolutely sucks, but it didn't. Cole gave a really good promo, guys. Trust me, because of the crowd, I was listening even more vivid because I was like, is BC just not hearing this right? Is it just me that's like thinking this is good? Because I have to get in touch because this crowd is telling BC that this sucks, but it didn't. I listened more vivid, word for word, and it just got better and better. Adam Cole was on it, but the story has gotten so convoluted and it doesn't make sense to a lot of fans, or they just can't back it like they once did, or it doesn't make sense for them, or they just don't care, period. But that's what they were telling. That's what they were telling Tony Khan last night while Adam Cole was spewing those words, because Adam Cole nailed it. That promo was good, and absolutely, that would get a salute from BC, and it is. And then MJF came over the Tron, the big screen, and MJF is sitting there in like a freaking, a dimmed lighted library room of a mansion, and he's got his red wine, his Sauvignon Blanc, and he's just kind of, he's just subtly right. Adam Cole's all worked up, and he's just like calmly just delivering his own promo, which kind of gets you like wanting to back MJF in an odd way. But no matter what, MJF absolutely crushed it. Absolute salute for MJF. I mean, I was into that exchange, but like many fans, I wish I was into the story even more so. And you hope that does that, but instead, when it was said and done, more fans were just talking about the placement of it and how it doesn't make sense. And so what we mean by that goes into my two concerns. And we'll start with the really big one. So you have this Wrestle Dream event. I'm finally getting caught up to that, by the way. Like every day I try to get like a match or two in. That's how busy BC's been. And all my free time is going into this channel for you guys, man. Making sure you guys have the content that backs your support for the channel. So I'm trying to get caught up on Wrestle Dream, but everybody was waiting for just a hot start to this show. Everybody was waiting for, like, you know, the Bryan Danielson, not just a recap, but like a jump off point, like what's next and what's the big story that they're going to that's going to stem from what we saw on Saturday night. They didn't get that. You know, you have Adam Cole and MJF going back and forth. MJF isn't even there live. And fans are like, and then you cut backstage and you have Chris Jericho. He's trying to pump up his feud with Mark Briscoe. What else? I think you had the Mariah May backstage. Again, some good performance. MJF, Adam Cole, Mariah May. Chris Jericho's promo was even good. And Briscoe's was good, right? Everybody was hitting their promos. It's not even that the content was bad. But nobody tuned in to see that after Saturday night. There was this buzz, and you gotta know that. You have to read the room. You created something special Saturday night. Now you have to make sure that you keep that momentum thriving, not just surviving. You have to keep it thriving. And a lot of people are like, whoa, all that momentum is being squashed in the first half an hour. Then FTR comes out, their return. And by the end of their segment, they're like dancing and you know, was it Excalibur? Somebody's like, and what a fun moment here on AEW Dynamite. I'm like, a fun moment? After what you just saw with Bryan Danielson Saturday night, nobody tuned in to watch FTR dancing. It was weird, man. It was alarming to see, like, that's where there's a disconnect, and Tony Khan has to realize, dude, you got all of this good buzz coming off of Saturday. Like, now put everything into making sure that momentum it just stays thriving, man, and that buzz continues in a good way. And in one show, guys, you could feel that, well, whatever it was, electricity, that buzz, that air just kind of gets sucked out of that arena. And in one show, I can honestly say, I think most of the buzz from the Bryan Danielson Wrestle Dream finish out the window. That level of care went down bare minimum 78%. Yeah, that's concerning. That's alarming. You can't start off your first hour when you just had a hot finish like that at your pay-per-view. You can't have your rundown sheet for your next show. It can't be that way. That's alarming, and whoever approved that, they have to know that, and you have to believe that Tony Khan was the final one to approve it, or the one that created it from top to bottom in totality and approved his own creative. I think that's how it. I think no matter what, he's got writers and people working with him. But I think this just screamed a lot of Tony Khan. But he has to know you had something special on Saturday night. You can't squander that and just go back to mediocrity, because the performances are really good. The creative to your fans, man. Again, this is for the AEW die. You're seeing it in the arena. You're hearing the chatter on it. AEW fans are going, come on, man. You can't do that after what we just had. That's the problem there. So the second alarming thing is more individual based. And again, it falls down onto the creative side of things, unfortunately, because performer-wise, this female is one of, BC says she's the best in the world at what she does. So why is her booking alarming? We're talking Mercedes Moné, formerly known as Sasha Banks. So she's got all this gold, right? Tony's booking her correctly in terms of her prestige, right? Undefeated, 2 championships, 1 on each shoulder. And then you look at why nobody cares. Why there's crickets in the arena. Silence on the doohickey machine afterwards. When she goes to the back and nobody's buzzing about what just happened with Mercedes. There's no creative. There's nothing happening. Guys, if you're new to the channel, I put Mercedes on the highest of pedestals. To BC, and if you feel differently, much respect. That's your prerogative. That's how you look at things. You put your own facts together. That's fine. For BC, Mercedes Moné is the best female pro wrestler on the planet. That's just how I feel. I put all my due diligence and facts and research into the pile, and that's what came out. Mercedes Moné. So I put her on the highest of pedestals. So when I was able to catch some of Dynamite, and I found that I was able to catch some of Mercedes, I flipped over, I had a moment, and I saw Mercedes, I said, I'm dropping every other side business. It was main business, I should say, but nope, that's being delayed because I'm watching the rest of this match. And Mercedes Moné, and she was in there with, by the way, Queen Emanata, I want to say, and listen, wow, she's the queen, not Charlotte, not Nia Jax. This Queen Emanata is good. Like, she was rocking with Mercedes. Wow, that's another story. But to the Queen Emanata, wow, that was really good. She just got put on a lot of people's radars, man. That was her calling card to the wrestling business in totality, in grand spectrum form anyway, on a bigger stage. That made a lot of people go, who is this? And by the end of it, they were like, all right, I know this. But that's another story. But I made sure that I was able to catch that match. And Mercedes won as she should. She got the queen into the backstabber, into the statement. She taps out. Mercedes' facial expressions while she's tapping out. While the queen is tapping out, Mercedes is like, oh, she's tapping out so soon. So it was great, right? Mercedes' facial expressions are always great. Her selling is always top notch. Matches her offense, right? It's just some of the things that makes Mercedes so damn good at what she does. And then post-match. This is coming from somebody who puts Mercedes on the highest of peaks. I was waiting for something, right? Now you captivate us in the other boxes. It's professional wrestling, right? If this is collegiate wrestling, if this is if you're playing a game of pool, right? A fucking game of Yahtzee at home, all right? Some mutual respect. You could shake hands, or you could just have the camera on them and you go, hey, what a win. What a victory. He got Yahtzee. He won the game of Monopoly. But this is professional wrestling. You got to set up stories and feuds. You have to get your crowds, your audience. You have to get them invested. Crowd didn't really care too much about the match. All right, we saw another good wrestling match on a wrestling show. Yay. Now what? Mercedes looks at the hard cam. What's going to happen now, right? Is it going to be Statlander? I can't say that's really enthralling for BC. Mercedes versus Chris Statlander? No, that doesn't do much for BC, but it's something. No, there's nothing, guys. Guys, Mercedes looks at the hard cam with a smile, hoist her titles up, and we go to Excalibur, Tony Schiavone, and who was it? Nigel? What are we doing? Well, that's the plan? On one hand, okay, you're making Mercedes look like the best female wrestler in the world. Awesome. That absolutely should be happening. And that is mad props to Tony Khan for doing what Vince McMahon never did. And what Triple H didn't want to save and help create. He's booking her properly in terms of wrestling, right? He's having her rack up W's and not even sniff an L. She's that damn good. She shouldn't be sniffing an L. Throwing championships on her. You're damn right. It's Mercedes. But then where's the creative behind it all? Why should people care in the realm of professional wrestling? Because now you have to have storylines attached. And as somebody who loves to see the wrestling aspect and the prestige finally be placed upon the lap of Mercedes, I'll be the first to say that when they cut from Mercedes after that match, I said, no, what are you doing? That is one of the biggest flops. You're giving her all of this money and all of her talent, and you know she can rock out storylines. And you choose to give her what? A match with Cream Emanata. Queen Emanata. Which again, good. Much props to the Queen. But how is that making people go, oh man, Mercedes is on fire, man. She's lighting up the division. You have to have something more I was really, man, when that match got over, and I said, hey, that was a good match, right? It's Mercedes, so I'm not that shocked. But I was like, hey, man, Queen just got put on the map. And then I was like, now the fun begins. Now, okay, she won. Now what, right? Or do something. It can be simplistic. Maybe you don't even have a storyline in place, but you're like, you know what? Let's have some fun. Now the fun begins. Now let's make people care about Mercedes, even if they want to hate her more, right? Boo her more. Let's do something. Back in the day for WWF, for instance, right? Remember what the heels would do? Every heel would do something that was just even more fun than the match itself, or you were waiting for it because you knew this diabolical deed was going to be done. And what I mean by that is like after the Mountie would win a match, you know, this heel, the Mountie, and then he would take his electric shocker. He had this thing in the corner, this like stick that shocked you, and he would actually shock his opponents after the match. And you're like, damn, you're watching a dude get electrocuted. That would happen after the match. Jake Roberts, right after he beat you, he would actually take out a bag who had a snake in it. It was a python named Damien. Earthquake would go and squash Damien. He would have to get another snake, but that was a tragic moment if you were a kid, man, watching Damien get squashed. But anyway, Jake would beat you, and then after the match, you knew the snake was coming out. He would put that snake on the individual guys, and the snake would just be slithering up and down the body of this dude that just got a badass DDT, so he was knocked out in the next Tuesday. And this snake would be slithering around the ring. Referees running away. Vince McMahon is screaming, get it off of him! Get him off of him! It was great, man. You know, a snake, you knew that was coming afterwards, right? It builds the character, and it makes that, even if it's subconscious interest, it's interest nonetheless on the Mountie, on Jake Roberts. Ted DiBiase would beat you. He would put you to sleep with $1 million dream sleeper hold. And after the match, he would bring in Virgil, his bodyguard / servant, and he would get a $100 bill, and he would stuff it into the mouth. How degrading is that when this dude is asleep? You already beat him, and he would stuff cash in his mouth. Or he would call somebody in the ring and make him do something really fucking like degrading, right? He'd have you come in and like just degrade yourself. He'd make fun of the individual just to show that people will do anything for the almighty dollar. And he would make them do the wildest things just for $20, $10, and the fans would do it. You know, you would see these type of things, right? Rick Martel would spray you in the eyes with his what was it? His cologne, his fragrance. He had a fragrance spray. It was a huge thing. And he would make sure he doused you in it after the matchups. I can go on and on and on. Wrestlers had things that were tied to their gimmick that you looked forward to. You knew it was coming, but you were into it. There has to be that next something more than just wrestler A, wrestler B, wrestling match, WL, winner, loser. Let's go backstage for an interview. There has to be. Even for one of the best in the world, Mercedes Moné. I was really looking forward to getting invested in Mercedes and AEW because I'm already invested in Mercedes in and of itself, in and of herself, but I have to be invested in what they're doing with Mercedes. And that was not there, and that was the second big alarming thing, man. Placement of last night's show coming off of Wrestle Dream, I just felt like that you should have put more emphasis on what happened to Danielson. And just the little things like just winning a match, and that's it. There's nothing afterwards, even if it's with somebody like Mercedes. That's my assessment. Again, performance-wise, everybody did. Mercedes rocked it out in that matchup. FTR came back, looked like the FTR of old. Adam Cole and MJF had smash promos. Mariah May crushed it in her backstage promo. Just all these things, man. I didn't get to see Jay White and, who was it, Christian? Was that the main event? I didn't get to see that, so I can't really speak on that. But, yeah, I'm glad I was able to catch some and talk about it. You know, the thing with AEW, and I'll this upload, I will end it with the utmost transparency. One of the biggest reasons why I don't cover AEW all the time. One of those reasons you guys already know, and that's because BC is extremely busy. This is my hobby, and I make time for it. I love creating content for you guys. I love talking pro wrestling, and I knew at a young age that I'm really good at it. I got the gift to gab, and I'm entertaining, and I got a wealth of knowledge when it comes to this. And if I can distribute that to thousands of you guys, I love doing it. But because of that, I'm extremely busy, and especially middle of the week, man. Like Tuesdays and Wednesdays, there's just no way I can watch that 2 hours, especially after coming off the Raw, which for the longest time was 3 hours, and we'll be going back to such in January. And then, going, I got to spend my Tuesday night and my Wednesday night and all these nights watching wrestling. I just can't do that. You reach a certain age where you got to do other things business-wise, financially, and, you got to put your big boy pants on and do other things. So for that reason alone, I can't catch these shows in totality live every week. Just can't do it. But on top of that, I always had a stipulation that a show has to pull in at least 1 million viewers for me to talk about it. Otherwise, if there's not enough interest live, there's not enough audience live to watch the actual show, then that tells you there's no real interest to watch a review or anything like that. In fact, maybe the review will be more entertaining than the show, actually. But the point is, I always had, if there's 1 million in viewership for a wrestling show, I will review it. And that stipulation remains today. But unfortunately, NXT and AEW, they don't reach 1 million. So I don't even have to worry about that. But if they ever do, I will absolutely go out of my way to catch the show and review it for you guys. So you already know that. I'm extremely busy, especially middle of the week, but I also have that stipulation. You have to at least get 1 million in viewership. But there's another reason why I can't talk that much AEW Dynamite during the week or in these uploads. And this is the reason. This is full honesty. The product has lost me, right? There was all these high hopes. There was many things that AEW was doing right, many things I was into, watching every week, even when I just couldn't, but I found the time. And then they just it wasn't as fun. It wasn't as interesting, right? I don't know if it was one singular moment or it happened kind of over time, but they lost their way. And in the process, they lost a lot of viewers. So it wasn't as captivating as it once was. And when you already have all of this time invested in the other company, WWE, because that's what most of us, we fell in love with wrestling because of that juggernaut. And when you already have that taking up so much time, and that's got its own woes, by the way, that's nowhere near, even under Hunter Hearst Helmsley, nowhere near where it should be. And then you have another show that most of the time is just so mid, it becomes too much. And it's like, whoa, what do you want to talk about? You tap into Cody Rhodes and it's like, what do we talk about? More mid stuff? Are we just going to complain, bitch, moan more? We do it enough with WWE, unfortunately, and it's not because we want to be negative. We want to be positive, right? We want the shows to be better so we can talk about how awesome they are. We want to talk good. There's just not enough on it. On these shows, there's not enough good to talk about. And then you just have more and more promotions that are adding on the same pile of junk most weeks. So you add on the fact that I'm not able to catch live anyway, and then you hear what happened, or you're able to see some of it, and it's kind of like, all right, what am I talking about? So that's full honesty, guys, is the AEW product has kind of fell off to BC. And the good news is that it's not too far off. It can get back on track. And BC is always, just like last night, whenever I get a chance, I'm absolutely always tuning in. Because unlike many individuals that just probably want to see AEW fail, or vice versa, WWE fail, BC wants to see it succeed. So I'm always giving Tony Khan and AEW another chance to captivate my interest, right? Get me back as one of those fans that can't miss the show, right? No matter how busy I am, I gotta find a way at least to catch most of it live, and I'll catch the rest after. But, I always give it the chance to do such. I don't just give up on it. I love pro wrestling, and I want to see these companies succeed. And AEW is not far off. That's the good news. But damn, they just need so much help, and I don't know if Tony's willing to just see that and take it. But I'm always giving it a chance, guys. It's not just like, AEW fell off and because of that, they're just done. No, whenever I get a chance to see it, I talk about it. Like this upload, man. Very AEW dominant. Because I still love talking about it. I just want more to talk about. I want to be into it like I once was. Because we have enough mid-creative in WWE as it is. One of these companies at some point is going to have to just step it up. A storyline like Mox has the chance to do it. Will it? That remains to be seen. That's what I got for you guys, man. Until next time, and there will be that next time, the Amped Up show for Friday. We got some good conversation pieces for that already. There's one good story we're definitely going to jump into on tomorrow's upload. So make sure you catch the show tomorrow for sure. And like I said, until next time, there will be that next time, top guys. We are out. BC in the unit. Salud.